It's part of a series that we're doing, but it can get kind of deep. I already have a couple of rabbit holes that you could go down if you wanted to. So if you would like me to go further on this video or any other video, please do let me know. All right, now that I fixed everything, let's get to business. And today we're going to Portland, Oregon. I imagine that when we get to Utah, we'll spend a lot of time there. This is also going to merge into or bleed into the series on America as a map as a whole and the Bible as a map, because believe it or not, there are some biblical things regarding our landmarks. But this one is special. It's different. And it rubs me funny because we've heard of all of this unrest in Portland the last several years. And what you're seeing is the building. It is the Portland building in downtown. It's just called the Portland building. We're going to get into that. But first, I want to talk about some blatant symbolism that's right in your face. This image was okay to use because it's in the Britannica. And I'll tell you why that matters as we get into this video. Shouldn't be too long, though. So right away, you should see the symbolism of the upside down triangle or pyramid. That is heaven coming down to meet or earth, or the symbolism for the female. Then you have the two pillars here and the archway and the doorway, which symbolizes a portal or a new beginning or a change, right? You're entering a new world. Things are different when you go through that archway. So right there already, it's wild. Add in this lovely lady and things get even stranger. So let's talk about it real quick. Her name is Portlandia. It's a sculpture by Raymond Keskey located above the entrance of the Portland building in downtown Portland, Oregon. It's the second largest copper statue in America, next only to Our Lady Liberty. Real quick, I'm going to go to the Portland building. I do still do kind of a semi-research with me just so you can see the process. Not everybody knows the process, and honestly, it makes my work look more authentic when people go back and say, wow, she did research this live and it was on this channel first. So the Portland building, on the other side, the one that kind of, hi, nice to see you, Michael. On the other side of this, what would you say, catty corner, perpendicular? On the other corner, you have like 4 pillars with, I don't even know if it's like ribbon draped above it, but we'll get to that in a second. It is called the Portland Municipal Services Building. Now, there's actually some lore that some kids wrote along with this, along with a creepypasta. It says it houses offices of the city of Portland. It's located adjacent to City Hall. It was added to the National Register of Historical Places in 2011. An extensive reconstruction of the building began, guess what, in that year, December 2017, and it was completed in 2020. It was temporarily closed for that work, and the closure was extended during the Rona pandemic, which is interesting. The artist or the architect is Michael Graves. Let's see here. And they make no reference at all to the Roman or the Egyptian or the Babylonian influence here. But like I said, you have the upside down triangle there. But we're going to get back to Our Lady herself and why that's important. Hold on. There. Okay, so Michael Graves requested, the guy that we were just talking about, that the architect of the building, this building, he requested a sculpture based on the 1878 Portland City Seal, which features an alleged, and we'll get into this, allegorical woman with a trident. We got some maritime stuff coming in, and maritime law and maritime, that word has been really big also since 2019. It's really coming back into the vernacular, so if you don't know how it operates, you should look into it. I'm not sure exactly why. I haven't put my finger on it yet, but it has a lot to do with the military and what's going on behind the scenes in America. So it was created, let's see, It was sculpted by Raymond Caskey in Maryland. Now, it's the second largest. It was shipped by rail and it arrived by barge on the Willamette River in 1985. It was also he made it or created it in Washington, D.C., and it started being shipped piece by piece from there. Now, we've already talked about D.C. being the last place where the alleged last tribe of giant humans dwelled. So, moving on. Now, there is a lot of controversy facing this statue. It faced minor criticism for its pose, and Caskey holds the copyright restricting commercial reproduction. That's why I'm using an Encyclopedia Britannica image. But it's still covered under the fair use. I did discover that. The design and symbolism. Okay, so let's talk about her. I pointed out the obvious factors in the building with the arches and the upside-down pyramid. So it says she's dressed in a classical robe, holding a trident in her left hand and reaching down with her right to greet visitors. Now, I don't know if I can change the green screen as I'm doing this, but this was inspired, and this is what's weird. The guy, the architect, right, he commissioned the statue. So the building was already there. He wanted a statue for this exact place, right? And so they grabbed from the seal, right, from the Oregon State seal. He said he was inspired by her. But there's a painting by a man called William Blake. And it's a very famous painting. I think it's even Pink Floyd might have used it on one of the covers of one of their albums. But it's of a regular triangle and God reaching down to like humanity. And it's called Ancient of Days. That is what he was actually inspired by. And just to give you a quick rundown, Ancient of Days is a title for God appearing in Daniel 7, describing him as eternal, majestic judge with white wool-like hair and a throne of fire. It says it appears 3 times in Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, 13, and 22. It says he's portrayed as a supreme judge. So that is where he drew, allegedly, inspiration. Now, the symbolism is definitely there. However, instead of being an old man, you have a woman. What's up with that? Where did he get that? You have a lot of women over America, and yet you have like this, the way this, I don't know, lately with how we're being treated. But we'll get to that because actually that's included here. Now, when I look for more on the inspiration, it says she symbolizes Portland's role as a bustling port city with surrounding symbols for farming, trade, and manufacturing. Now remember, she's pictured with a trident, which means she has a focus on the maritime. She's surrounded by a cogwheel and a sledgehammer, which represents industry, and a sheaf of grain, which is for agriculture. Incidentally, somebody else did a statue, and it's supposed to be based on the same image or the same goddess or whatever you want to call her. And it's horrid. Like, it was unveiled in 2021, and it is so horrid. Like, you don't see anyone doing art like this anymore, creating things like this anymore. Why is that? Why is that? And we've talked about that as well. I would really like to know what happened to Medusa, because it seems like that's a possibility for sure with the Moses statue that we looked into. All right, so we're done with Ancient of Days. Now, the problem with this is that when I Google deities with tridents, I come up with some stuff, all right? So hang on a second. Let me get back here because I want to skip. I'm going to do that after. I think I just changed my mind. Thank you for your patience, guys. All right, so we're going to look up deities and goddesses tridents, because what you want to do is you want to go across the board and cross-reference. You want to see, okay, the Greek, the Roman, the Norse, the Buddhist, and the Hinduist pantheons, because you'll see these same gods, goddesses, deities across cultures. Remember, culture means like a different language, a different way of living, a different style of dress, maybe a different focus on commerce or agriculture, right? So, of course, these deities would have different names because it's a different language. So I don't even know if some of this might not be intentional subterfuge, as far as a lot of us agree this is the fallen ones acting as gods. So this is wild. Now, we all know that the primary god pictured with the trident is Neptune, right? But if we look up female deities, we get a lot of stuff here. In Hinduism, there's a woman called the Durga, frequently shown in 14th century and modern art holding a golden trident to represent power, victory over evil, and divine authority. Now, here's the one we should pay attention to here in America, because I feel like the Greek and Roman is where a lot of them spring from. Or at least it's as close as to like Egyptian and Babylonian that maybe we can get. So in the Greek mythology and the pantheon, it was Amphirite. As Poseidon's queen, she is portrayed as a serene, regal figure, sometimes holding a trident. So this is odd too, because Lady Commerce, if you look up like who was the equivalent to Lady Commerce, you get a different goddess. So it's like they melded a couple of them. So I had a hard time trying to figure out who it is, and this is where you get into intentional subterfuge, because it's like peeling an onion, and to get to the true root of things, and people say follow the money. I say follow the names, because that will lead you to the previous person and the previous incarnation and the previous one, because they do that fake reincarnation thing. So in Rome, or the British iconography, the personification of Britain is depicted wearing a Corinthian helmet and holding a trident, symbolizing her rule over the waves. Now, again, you know, tridents are usually associated with some type of maritime law. What I found interesting is also regarding the maritime, that building, the kids who wrote the lore, this urban fan wiki, I can't get into the whole thing because it's really big now. It's like a community effort. But they build up lore now behind her that she controls Portland's water, and if they misbehave, she won't give them water. And it is in the building, again, where you have a lot of these services kind of meeting up in the middle of the city there. Okay, so classical antiquity, Tritoness is a minor sea deity, sometimes depicted with a trident. And then in Mesopotamian, you have Ishtar. There we get it. And finally, after digging through all these names, I'm rewarded with, you know, somebody that I kind of thought we were going to get to. So I guess her other name, and I didn't know this, is Anunitum. I wish somebody would teach me how to speak this properly. And Ishtar, Mesopotamian, associated with the weapon in some depictions of war goddesses. But if you look up female deities, goddess of commerce, you get a different person, or personification, if you will. So you get Minerva. Now, why this is interesting is because Minerva, this is not what they call her, but there's also another statue. I can't really think. Oh, it might look like the Angel of Moroni on the LDS. And again, I've been digging at this. It resembles the Angel Moroni on the LDS churches, but it also resembles, I think it's called, I might be wrong, Lady Freedom in Washington, D.C., but let's look. Minerva is the Roman goddess associated with commerce. In Hindu, it's Lakshmi, and this is weird. In the Forgotten Realms, she's called Walkeen. What does that mean? If it's forgotten, how do you know it? Anyways, Minerva oversees trade and crafts. Lakshmi embodies prosperity. And Walkeen is the active goddess of trade. Other figures include Taichi or Fortuna and Artichoke. Oy, that's a lot. Okay, so Joaquin, that's from the Forgotten Realms or D&D. Known as the merchant's friend, she's the goddess of trade, money, and commerce. So you see how they blended? They kind of blended two different goddesses. And then you get to Isis. So the first one, if we look up female goddess with a trident, at the very bottom of the root, we get Ishtar. On the other side, when we keep digging, we get Isis. So again, we got to a place I kind of thought we'd get to. It says Isis is associated with prosperity and widely worshipped in the Roman world. And kids, we never left. Like, we're still here, just to let you know. Diana also, though she was mainly a goddess of the hunt, she also held dominion over the crossroads, which were important for trade. We're going to talk more about the crossroads because I got some stuff to talk about when it comes to Hecate. Okay. So we're going to go to Amphirite. Now it says in Greek mythology, the goddess of the sea, the wife of the god Poseidon. She's one of the 50 or 100 daughters of the Nereids. Nereids are the mermaids. It's another word for, it's the real word for mermaids. Nereus is her father, and Doris is her mother. Poseidon chose Amphirite from among her sisters as the Nereids performed a dance on the Alb Naxos. Refusing his offer of marriage, she fled to Atlas, from whom she was retrieved by a dolphin sent by Poseidon. He then rewarded he rewarded the dolphin by making it a constellation. So again, you get into this strange lore when you look into her. But we're going to look at one more thing, if I can find it. The fan wiki. So give me 1 second. Now, this gets into the Ancient of Days, right? Where I was talking about. And at the end of this video, I'm going to let you know a few things that I was unaware of. Regarding giant statues in America, new ones. So if we look into the Ancient of Days, according to Wiki, and I love going here because you just never know what you're going to get, and I will punch in, if I remember, Lady Commerce, because again, it's funny, the lore that they gave her. No. It says, the one problem of humanity is its inability to recognize the individual. They see a group, choose the worst of that group, and then put them on a pedestal as a representation of the group. This is why their nations are ruled by beasts and monsters, but it never had to be that way. Look at how they demand a better life for their friends, their family, their children. There is hope yet, and anyone who states otherwise have either given in or want you to do so. Ancient of Days. It says the Ancient of Days, also known as Ancient, Elder of Days, and the Old One of all ages, is one of the many avatars of God, personifying destruction, renewal, law, and judgment. I thought it was interesting. Now it says the Ancient of Days is a figure who appears in the book of Daniel in the Bible, accompanied by another mysterious figure known as the Son of Man. The Ancient of Days was considered one of the names of God and has been referenced in diverse belief systems such as Kabbalah, Mormonism, and Christianity, Judaism, and Gnosticism, including narratives such as the works of William Blake. Now, I could stay on this woman forever, because again, it gets weird. Now, if I look up Lady Commerce, I get also another answer. Lady Credit, it says fickle goddess, sometimes identified by her French moniker Madame Compagnie, assumes the role of John Law's sidekick in The Great Mirror of Folly. Lady Credit is an 18th century allegorical figure representing economic credit, often depicted as a fickle, seductive, or sometimes grotesque woman in satirical art like The Great Mirror of Folly, often called Madame Compagnie, and linked to the goddess Fortuna. She symbolizes the volatile nature of financial markets and speculation. Symbolism: she embodied the volatile, fickle nature of financial markets. She's often depicted as a temptress. Artists portray her as a goddess-like figure to represent both the allure of profit and the risks of financial ruin. Now, if you see here, if you pull up the painting too, again, you'll see that the painting of William Blake is the exact opposite of this. It is God, right, on top of the triangle reaching down to man, in other words, sort of. Which is weird because actually, like, the Catholic Church, like, symbolically speaking, this is where heaven meets earth, is the point of the two pyramids. So the Ancient of Days painting would actually be the incorrect one. If you want to get technical about symbolism, it's kind of a thing of mine. Call it madness. I'm kind of obsessed. Now, we're going to go. Hold, please, because we're not done. I'm going to see if I can real quickly grab the wiki on her because, again, it's just interesting. Da-da-da-da. Hold, please. Thank you for your patience. And the people are pretty creative, so she is 35 feet tall. I don't think I mentioned how tall she was. Trying to see if I can pull up the wiki, and again, they're real funny about this. She's called Lady Commerce and Portlandia both. And the artist has since died. There we go. Oh, heaven's sakes. That was not what I wanted to go to. I will see if I can find it. It was just something quirky and unique, I thought. But one more thing I want to look up is Lady Commerce statues because there's more than one. And I think the other one was in Washington, but I just want to be sure. We have a lot of female statues. Considering how we treat women, it's amazing to me, especially, again, they're really down with the female in this era of everything. Now we have the Spirit of Commerce, which is a zinc sculpture. Sits on a red granite pedestal near... It's the oldest public sculpture in Milwaukee. Then you have Portlandia, of course. I think the one in Washington is the Goddess of Freedom or the Woman of Freedom. And then you would have New York as Liberty. Central Park's Lost Statue of Commerce. Remained a fixture near the Columbus Circle entrance to the park, despite its toppling in 1925 when a taxi cab crashed into it. That one looks pretty big, too. Let's see real quick. That's New York. I'm surprised they don't have one of these outside of Wall Street instead of the Bull. I honestly am. Maybe there is one somewhere and I've just never heard of it. How long has it been there? Is it still there? Some of they're not as nice as the copper one, but that one's pretty. It's not too bad. So we have a lot of them, and we're going to be getting into more strange statues as well. They kind of end up leading to one another because I found out that the architect of the building and the man who did Lady Commerce herself, they're very steeped in the occult. He went to Yale, of course, Carnegie, close to my home. And we know there's a lot of big names in Carnegie as well. So I often wonder if sometimes they credit different people with being the creators of certain things. Because I wonder if maybe they've been around longer. Oh, we'll have to watch this later and see if you can change my mind. I don't know what change your mind on what? I'm not sure what that's about. In my estimation, the Ancient of Days is the sun, S-U-N. Gotta run at the moment. Thanks for doing the stream. Ancient means ruler, right? According to Genesis, the sun is the ruler of days, also associated with justice in most cultures. Sun, also known as creator. Interesting. I love the sun, S-O-N and S-U-N, myself. And that's interesting. We're going to look into Lady Justice, too, because Justice is blind. I found out she's actually... Hold, please. William Caskey, the guy that did this. The guy that did the statue. He, if I can get an open tab here to search. Can I, please? Ancient of Days. Okay, there we go. Real quick. There's a few things that we got to talk about insofar as current statues. So Mark Zuckerberg, I didn't know this. He turned his backyard into an art gallery, and he has a giant sculpture of his wife. It's actually pretty. I've looked at it. There is a giant bust of Elon Musk at the entrance to SpaceX. I did not know that. But there's all the proof I needed that he is egotistical. Now let's see. I love how everybody wants to turn us into pagans. Yes, I believe the Bible is an astronomy book. It's also a farming manual. It's also a life book on how to operate. If I would have read it sooner, things would be different for me. My story is a cautionary tale. So they also want to put a giant sculpture on Alcatraz, and we're going to do a video on that as well. It's not done yet, but there's some concept art. We'll take a look at that as well. Nobody else thinks it's strange. It's like once these are up, they can also rewrite history and say, oh, it's been there for such and such a time. Something's going on with Mount Rushmore, too, because people are acting like it's no longer there, but there hasn't been, like, an announcement. So I'm not sure what's up with the president's faces on Mount Rushmore, but something's been going on with that for a while as well. So each one leads us to a different place. One of the statues that the creator of Portlandia, one of the statues that he did also is at the entrance to a courthouse. And he called it unserved justice, justice not found, something like that. And I'll try and pin it in the comments because I can't find the link right now. But, because again, this turns into its own rabbit hole when you start looking at the names of the people who created it and where the inspiration comes from. You just keep going down and down and down. But it's pretty strange that in the entrance to a courthouse, he gave it like these dire names about justice not being served. So I thought that was interesting symbolism as well. We're going to get into more. Most of us know the Baphomet statue that was put up in lieu of the Ten Commandments. So this has been going on for several years now. The rebranding of America, if you will. So thank you for being here with me. Hang out with me some more. This is not a polished channel. I don't have any sponsors. I don't make money for this. It's just things I think I should know and maybe you should know as well about our own country and about who's running things here and about our true culture, right? I'm starting to wonder, too, if when everyone fled religious persecution, were they fleeing? Was it all the witches fleeing and they all come here? Because we are very paganistic. But anyways, you guys have a blessed day. Please pray for me as I pray for you. Thanks so much for being here with me. And we'll look at Alcatraz probably in the next video.